Hello, I'm Kevin Fleece with GBTA. I'm at the GBTA broadcast studio. Joining me today is Jonathan Cowell, Managing Director of Greater China for BCD Travel. Welcome, Jonathan. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, let's jump into it. So the first question I have for you is, when it comes to the business travel recovery, we've seen differences among regions and countries. Thinking specifically about China, what is the outlook for corporate travel recovery for the rest of the year?
Yes, that's a good question. So China came off COVID a little bit later than the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. So we only started recovering early this year in January 8th when the borders started to open. So we're seeing actually a pretty promising sign on one hand for domestic. So for our domestic travel within China, we're already over 100% recovery compared to 2019. So we're already well past what we had in 2019. However, for international travel, we're still a bit slow. Currently, we're at about 60% recovery compared to 2019. And so I would say that for the rest of the year, the outlook is positive, but it's going to be slow and steady. We're going to see a steady recovery to 2019 level, but probably we won't be able to completely recover this year, but probably later part of next year.
Great. So maybe just a follow-up question on the international side. What's the split between outbound versus inbound international travel? How does that sort of shake out? You said you're at about 60%. How do you see it in terms of inbound international visitors versus outbound Chinese travelers?
I think we see a pretty similar pattern and trends right now, a mix, because right now we're seeing also a lot of inbound travelers coming in compared to our outbound people going out. So I think a lot of visitors are now taking advantage of the borders open without any having to quarantine or any other policies. They just come in and do their business meetings. We've also seen a lot of senior CEOs of global companies like Bill Gates, Elon Musk. They're all visiting China for the first time in 3-4 years. And also politically, a lot of the US government officials are visiting as well. So we're seeing a lot of much more activity happening.
Excellent, excellent. And what do you think are some of the key factors that are maybe holding things back from a full recovery? You said we're on our way to full recovery. What are some of the factors that may be holding it back?
Yeah, so there are a couple of factors. So the first one I would say is visa. So in China, most of the for China citizens going to the U.S. or Europe, we require a visa. The wait time has been very long. So for example, if you were to get a American visa today in Shanghai, so you go in and set up an appointment, it will actually take you 5 months.
Wow.
So they tell you to come back in January for your appointment. So basically you just wait. And it's very similar for Schengen visa, for the German, France, or European visa. So basically the wait time is about 5 to 6 months as well. And so it's not friendly to corporate travel. As you know, corporate travel, we need to go, then it's next week or next month.
Right.
It's not next year. So
yeah.
Basically, I think that is one of the major impediment right now for recovery. And then the other one is the flight capacity. So as I mentioned, we're only at about 60% flight capacity recovered. However, it is a mixture, right? So we see the flights between China and the US, it's far behind. We're only at about 6%, so there's only about 24 flights a week right now.
Wow.
Compared to before COVID, the average was 330 flights a week.
Wow. Is that capacity due to available aircraft, pilots, crews?
Yeah, so I think a little bit of both. The crew is certainly a factor, and also the political situation between Russia and Ukraine. So I think one of the contention points as well.
Got it. Got it. Well, speaking of air travel, it's a prime indicator of recovery. So my last question is, in terms of flights and schedules, what destinations would you say are seeing the fastest recovery? You mentioned domestically within China. Can you expand a little bit on which markets are recovering the fastest?
Yes, so for international travel, we're seeing especially countries within the Asia-Pacific region. So definitely the top 5 are Hong Kong and Macau are also part of China, but we are seeing that flights from China to Singapore, to Thailand, to Japan, to Korea, they are recovering the fastest. And also to Australia and New Zealand, they're recovering very quickly as well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us in the GBTA broadcast studio. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and thanks for attending the conference.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in.
All right, till next time.